Oh, mate.
You know you're interrupting my interview.
I'm
here.
so
No,
sorry.
come,
so
come.
sorry.
Joking.
Thank you. Listen, see that? I've got a picture of me and Conor Benn, yeah? See Conor? Do you reckon he's going to smash Eubank up?
No.
Or what? No,
Too small.
I don't. He's too small.
But you never know.
I like Conor, but all the fans now, they've grown with Eubank, haven't they? He's liked now. But I don't know why Conor's getting such bad publicity, because I met him at the Dubai fight, yeah?
So I'll come in here for a bit of peace, try and do some work, and you interrupt me. Now get interrupted. What's your name?
My name's Lee.
Nice to meet you, Lee.
Oh,
No,
mate,
well done.
he's a
Huge
legend.
boxing fan.
I love it.
Come on, let's do a pic.
Oh my God, I like this guy.
I was only teasing you. Yeah.
He says it. It's
beautiful daughter you got there as well.
Do you remember that argument you had?
With who? Which one?
Who was it? On a live.
With Don Charles. I know when he set me up.
Yeah,
Big John Fisher. He set me up with Big John Fisher.
Still got the best boxing channel out of all of them, mate. Don't worry about it.
Come on, let's do our photo then.
He's an Essex boy as well, isn't he, Cokes?
Kind of in motion interview. How's that? Is the light a bit better there like that?
If you sit down, I can tell you.
Look at this little bonsai tree.
Yeah.
Bonsai tree.
Just get your head in shot and it'll be fine.
Little bonsai tree there, look.
Bonsai or banzai?
Bonsai. There we go. Bit of
lovely.
Bonsai and G right there. There we go. Look at that.
There we go. This is Kugan Cassius for IFLTV. I don't know what was going on there, Gareth, but you obviously
a very nice boxing fan who's just come back from Turkey, who was going to have his teeth done. He decided to bail on it, as he was saying, and he's a bit kind of tired of getting off the flight. Very nice fella, and it just happened to be going on while we were coming together for the interview. So while I just got online with you, how are you doing?
I'm all good. I'm
going to grab my phone actually, which I've left over there, which I mustn't leave. But, yeah, go on. I'll just do a walk and talk while we're.
Get your phone. Get your phone.
I don't mind losing my bits and paper, but I don't want to lose my phone, which has got all my cards and my life in it. Hong Kong to Riyadh to Stansted Airport, where I am now. To a little bonsai tree. How's that? Is that all right? Bit of light on the issue.
That's good.
Can we go with that?
Yeah, we can roll with that. Right, Gareth, let's begin. Obviously, the last 3 days have seen the Eubank Benn press tour. I mean, let's start with Manchester. Chris Eubank's antics. Too far or not?
Yeah, I thought it was disgraceful what he did, really, but it hasn't backfired on him. He's going to get a fine, probably 25 grand, but it looks like he's earning a mega buck time for this fight. I reckon he's getting 10 million. I reckon he's asked for 10 million. He wishes he's asked for more now, as he revealed yesterday. He said it was a diabolical sum. That fight does just over 30 million on pay-per-view and stadium, in my view. So I think Turkey will probably make a profit. I think Conor Benn's probably gone for 6. Maybe more. I don't know. I actually don't know these figures. I'm just guesstimating. But 10 million is a big fee for fighting Conor Benn. But when he said diabolical numbers and he went, damn, I should have asked for more. I thought the egg was a little bit too far, but 6,000 headlines around the world. People don't seem to hate him over it. Benn seems to be the hate figure in this fight. But Chris Eubank's got it all to lose for me because he should not lose this fight.
So that was the Tuesday press conference in Manchester.
Which was brilliant, by the way. Very compelling, but not as compelling as Thursday night.
Yeah, I mean, we'll come on to Thursday in a minute. I mean, a common factor in both is Chris Eubank's kind of continuous just continuous assault on Eddie Hearn.
His articulate way of doing it as well, which has been outstanding. Cool, calm, calculated.
He's got a gripe with Hearn there, hasn't he?
Definitely.
Let him speak, and he was obviously made a a point of if Hearn spoke, he was going to speak over him, and that over the two press conferences.
He smothered him with punches every time, didn't he? To use the analogy.
Yeah, I mean, right. Let's just dissect a few things. Yesterday at the press conference in London at Tottenham, a moment there where Chris Eubank addressed Nigel Benn, putting his hands around him, which obviously Conor Benn took complete offence to and kind of came back with. But what did you make of that? I mean, it's his son. I mean, it's not an unnormal thing, I suppose, for Nigel to react that way. And it's not an unnormal thing for Chris Eubank Jr. also to react in the way he did. What did you make of that incident?
I thought it just showed exactly what this bloodline feud's about. As you say, it's not abnormal for a father to protect his son. It's not abnormal for a son to stand up for his father. And it just showed exactly what's at stake here. Don't you talk to my father like that. And Chris Eubank saying initially, igniting it, if you like, you put your hand on me like that again, I'm going to forgive you this time for putting your hands on my neck. If you do it again, you won't be getting your hand back. Which, I mean, does he mean he'd have bitten his hand off? But what he means, he'd have gone for him. I thought it was a fascinating moment because Conor Benn came alive in that moment. He was sitting back and ready to say, I've got nothing else to say. I just want to smash his head in, as he's been saying. As he said to me when I interviewed him a few weeks ago for Ring Magazine, I've done a big piece on them both for Ring Magazine. For the cover, by the way, they're on next month. They're on the cover of the magazine. Get this light right. And I thought it just showed how much pride and love he's got for his father when he stepped up in that moment. As Nigel said, "It's all right, son. I'm 60 years old. I can handle this. I can handle myself." It was a moment of comedy. It was a moment of emotion, and it was the moment of the press conference in lots of ways. Apart from the two times that Chris Eubank stepped in on Eddie Hearn, as you say, has got it in for him when he talked about the 50,000 he's going to donate for the fighters that spent money on camps for that first event 2.5 years ago, which was a pointed comment at the lack of care about promoters. You know, he called them scoundrels and scallywags, didn't he, a couple of months back? And he's getting sued as a result by Frank Warren.
Scumbags is the word you
Scumbags,
use.
I didn't want to use the word again, yeah, but I don't think they are scumbags. But he had a very strong point to make. And also he corrected Eddie Hearn over the 60-40 split that he'd been talking about. I don't remember Eddie saying it was a 60-40 split, but he had issues with Eddie and said, no, we negotiated separately, which is how it got over the line anyway. Thank God for Turki Al-Sheikh and what he's doing, because he's made the fight. Without him, and I think he'll make a profit, as I say, because I think they will get over 30 million for this. So I think it'll do 1 million in pay-per-view buys, and I think the stadium will obviously sell out. But I just think Chris Eubank has been brilliant at both press conferences. I think it's 10-8 both rounds. Conor Benn doesn't want to chat with him; he just wants to smash his head in. Nigel doesn't want to say a lot. Tony Sims never says anything because he's a mellow dude. And so is Nigel in lots of ways, but the emotion is coming from the Benn side, and all the calculated, cool, articulate stuff designed to hurt and entice and excite and poke is all coming from Chris Eubank. And you know what? There's no different from the fathers. The apple doesn't fall far from the tree. Nigel was always a beautiful, emotional person. Chris Eubank Senior was always calculated. Who's fooling who? All over again, 35 years on, as it was called in 1990. Because at the time, Coog, when you were a young child, and you were a young child then, you know, you're probably still at primary school. The key was, is Chris Eubank what everyone's making him out to be? Because he hadn't really had any massive fights at that point. And Nigel Benn had beaten Iran Barkley in a round in the USA, was this new shining star. And of course was on the cover of Ring Magazine like these two are going to be. So it's very enticing. It's a much bigger fight than it was 2.5 years ago at the O2 Arena, isn't it? And that's because the clomiphene, the drugs shenanigans and the problems between them and the heightened intensity of the family rivalry. All we needed at Spurs on it, in it with his jodhpurs on and his riding boots and the marshal's badge was Chris Eubank Senior to walk in, and the place would have just gone crazy. Hopefully, we do get him to do a step in at some point, but at the moment, I think he feels like it's undignified of him to be involved.
I was going to ask you about that because I know the last time there was any kind of media interaction with Chris Eubank Senior, me and you were summoned a couple of years ago.
We weren't summoned. We were told we were coming to interview him at a very swish hotel. Was it the Grosvenor or somewhere?
Around that way, yeah, but same thing. And
we had a great morning with Chris Eubank. That was the day when it's Talk Sport and he gave it to Simon Jordan and told him, "You're a journalist." Do you remember?
Yeah, I mean, look, I don't know if you've reached out to Senior about speaking to him. I don't know. But at the moment, I mean, that seems like the missing part of the build-up jigsaw.
I agree. It'd be fantastic to have him involved because he's got, you know, people say he's a crank and all this. I think he's fantastic.
Brilliant.
You and I had an amazing morning with him, didn't we? He was on fire that morning. And what he was out there to do was to promote Harlem Eubank, if you recall.
Right.
He was get a big fight for Harlem Eubank. And for me, against Conor Benn, because he doesn't want his own son stepping in against Conor Benn. Listen, he is genius level. He's more popular now than he was when he was a fighter. He obviously turned from villain to cult hero. And I think weirdly, his son is the favoured guy going into this one because, you know, of Conor Benn and the drugs tests and all those things. I would love him to be involved. He would add to the promotion. I'd like to see him get paid through it in some way. But it really looks like he doesn't want to be involved with his son in this one, and his son wants to do it on his own. Him in the corner would be fantastic.
He did put a tweet out about a week ago. I'm sure you would have seen it. He was with an attached video with some footage of Barry Hearn and Frank Warren. But the title to it is "I Will Be in My Son's Corner." I mean, I'm sure there's many layers to that. Because obviously, clearly he wasn't there this week, but I don't know. I expect him to turn up at some this build-up for Chris Jr.
I agree, and I hope he does. I mean, like you say, it feels like the last missing part in the jigsaw is Eubank Senior, and we know what a spectacular speaker and an articulate man he is, and what he'd add. He's a headline grabber. He's a headline machine, but. You know, we don't know where Chris Eubank Jr. and his father are at the moment. And he's made statements that he doesn't want his son to be pinioned or limited by a rehydration clause. I want to know, one of the questions, annoyingly, I forgot to ask Hearn yesterday was, and we need to know this, what time of day that rehydration clause ends, by the way? That it's not a dressing room in the evening affair, or is it in the morning? Because if it's in the morning, he's still got 12 hours to rehydrate more, and he probably does want to go in at 180, or at least 175, and he's allowed to go to 170, which is, at the end of the day, is super middleweight, beyond super middleweight. But Father said a few weeks ago that he doesn't think it's legal what they're doing, making him weigh 170. Like you say, you just feel that the size of this event now, the online queue that doubles the arena, that doubles that massive stadium of 70,000, 130,000 in the queue yesterday, wasn't it, on the online queue? I spoke to one of the Spurs employees yesterday. He said he went on as soon as he could, and he was 81,000 in the line for the event. He said, so I better be working on the night, otherwise I won't get in the Flaming Stadium. And what a stadium it is. I love the way they took positions on the pitch as well. I thought Conor Benn was very contained yesterday, by the way, as well. And I think people had words with him. I think Eddie had probably had words and said, don't let your hands go, whatever you do, because it's not going to end well. The egg, he's over the egg being smashed on his face. What he needs to do is leave egg on Chris Eubank Jr.'s face in that ring on April the 26th, because it will be an egg left on his face because he's got it all to lose, Eubank, because he ought to win this bout.
As great rivalries have, always subplots, and one of the subplots over the last 3 days has been promoter Ben Shalom. Fascinating to see the interaction between Conor and Ben Shalom as well. Particularly yesterday, we saw Conor's kind of
That was
mimic.
mean. That was mean doing a little shimmy at him like that.
I think Hearn was equally as fucking taken back by that as well.
Imagine if Shalom had landed one on him out of fear and he'd knocked him out on the pitch.
Yeah, I mean, look, I like Ben.
Unlikely, but
Chances of that happening are slim to probably none. But
and Slim just left town. Yeah,
there is a subplot here. Obviously, Ben Shalom came up with some comments during the press conference about him earning more money than Conor Benn, and obviously, I don't know if you seen the interview with IFL with Eddie and Ben Shalom, which is brilliant to watch. Have you watched that?
is that the one where Eddie's saying, "I've been quite kind to you for the last 2 weeks, calm down," and all of that one, or is that another one? I haven't seen it today. I
done last night. I'll forward it on to you after. But
I will catch up with it. I will catch up.
It's a great interaction for 10 minutes between.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, look, Ben's.
They get on or not behind the scenes?
Listen,
Does it matter?
It doesn't matter. I think they both want to win. I think that Eddie Hearn has probably more respect for Ben Shalom, like recently than he did do like 6-7 months ago. Yeah, look, they're co-headlining a show. They want to win. They're competitive, and Ben's still the new kid on the block, according to her. You know, it's just there's loads of pieces to this jigsaw that makes it fascinating, even before we get to the fight.
Well, you go to Tuesday, and Eddie was like that far away from putting it on Ben Shalom when it all, and suddenly thought, "What am I doing here?" You know. I spoke to one of the security team from Lions Den, Brendan Lyons' team, who said, "I'd actually hold Eddie back." One of the big lads that's been with him all week, he'll remain nameless. But
no, he's not nameless because he was named. Eddie Hearn named him in a video yesterday. Morgan.
There you go. Well, he got named then. Okay. Well, I didn't want to put it out there because these guys obviously do. They are private security in a weird way.
Eddie Hearn put him fully on blast yesterday. Well, he said, what was the quote? He saved him from doing 5 years inside or something.
I don't know if it'd have been 5 years inside. I don't think Eddie's got that big a dig on him, to be honest. In fact, the person he's hit hardest in his life is his father Barry when he was about 60.
I don't know.
We know the story down at the snooker hall down in Romford. Where the old man took him at 15 to have a little boxing match, and Mum wasn't too happy about it. But Eddie ended up dropping his old man in the second round, I think, with a massive body shot. If he'd gone to Ben Shalom's body, it wouldn't have been so harmful. But he definitely would have crumpled him. I'd back Eddie in that fight against Ben Shalom, because even Ben Shalom said, "Should we do a Misfits fight?" Have you seen it?
I've seen comments.
I don't want to see those two fighting any day soon.
No, I don't think there's any danger.
I'd rather you fight Eddie Hearn or me fight you.
No, I'm too old.
Me.
So, all right, Gareth, look, this is just a kind of brief catch-up, really, about the last few days, and I think it will go kind of level now, if you like, until a couple of weeks.
Fight week. Yeah, we'll probably get a sit down. We'll probably get an invite into both men's camps, or certainly into Conor Benn's camp. I hope so, because it's a really big event. It's an event.
Huge. It's huge.
It is really big, and we know we've got a barometer for these things. And you looked around at the press conference yesterday, and I didn't make it to Manchester. I was very exhausted after the Riyadh week because I'd been to Hong Kong as well, and for another event, and it wasn't two continents. And as you know, we didn't finish in Riyadh till about 4 a.m, and it's always an exhausting journey home. Everyone's tired, and it was an absorbing, compelling event out there. But This feels really big, and I think the London press conference really showed that. It was only media in there. There must have been 300 people, and it felt like two big heavyweights coming together. It felt as big in press conference terms. When Tyson Fury and Anthony Joshua have their press conference at Wembley or Spurs, there won't be that many more people in the press conference. But it crossed over. The egg crossed over into mainstream news on Tuesday, unusually, at a time when the Prime Minister's meeting with Donald Trump. It was on the sports pages. It was as big news. So, it just shows you what one egg cracked can do between two rivals.
On that note, Gareth A, thank you very much for your parting line. And we'll look forward to
our next meeting in the great beyond.
Absolutely. And we'll definitely catch up soon.
Probably on Friday in Essex somewhere.
It's Friday tonight.
Well, I'll be going to bed tonight. I'm still too tired to go out and do the kind of things you do. You're a clean living entrepreneur.
Thank you, Gareth.
You're welcome. Always.
Gareth, thank you very much for talking to IFL TV, and we'll catch up with you again soon.
Lovely. Cheers, Kugan. Great to see you as always.
Top man.